a big problem with inflammation, for people with inflammation, is oil. Oil, as simple as that. The seed oils such as rapeseed, sunflower, a lot of those polyunsaturated oils, they tend to follow a kind of, when they're being digested, they go down a kind of a pro-inflammatory pathway, which means that when you're eating those oils, they actively encourage inflammation. It's not that the oils are bad per se, it's just that from an inflammatory point of view, they cause inflammation. They're more likely to contribute to it. So your kind of options now with oils are olive oil. On the other side kind of stands out a little bit because it's very high in oleic acid, which is quite anti-inflammatory. Now, having said that, all oils, they pack a very serious calorific punch, and they also all should be consumed with moderation from the point of view from weight loss and so on. So you're looking at 9 calories per gram of energy within 1 gram of oil. So that's quite high. By comparison, a carbohydrate is 4 grams or 4 calories. So it's almost 3 times more energy in in 1 gram of oil than a carbohydrate or a protein. But what I'm concerned about isn't so much the calorific punch of them, but it's the inflammatory point. So pretty much all commercial mayonnaises are produced using seed oils. So by default, all mayonnaise that you're buying on the shop shelf is going to be quite an inflammatory product, and probably best avoid it. So, but you can still make a mayonnaise, or if you can make one, or if you can source one yourself using olive oil. Technically it's an aioli, but it's with this one I'm going to just make a very, very simple mayonnaise, a basic one, and then I'm going to just make a derivative of it using some herbs and lemon, and kind of make a nice herby lemon mayonnaise, which I can just use as a dip for some prawns. But I'm going to use olive oil as the base. So again, all mayonnaise, doesn't matter if it's olive oil or seed oils, it should be consumed in moderation. It's a very, very high calorie product. But on the other side, at least this way you're going to get you're not going to be dealing so much with the inflammatory issues. So what I'm going to do here is, I'm just in my liquidizer, I'm going to just separate 2 eggs, and I want 2 egg yolks. I'm just going to pop in my liquidizer. Make sure you're using good quality organic eggs. That is quite important, because again, a lot of the mass-produced egg, you're dealing with things like antibiotics coming into the food chain and so on, and you'd probably be better off avoiding that. Next up, I'm going to put a nice generous teaspoon of Dijon mustard into the egg yolk. Pinch of salt, and I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just blend those, and I've pre-measured out about 210 mils of olive oil. Now with this, I'm not going to use my really good olive oil. I'm going to use the kind of the more commercialized one. You could use a really fancy one, but I find that the better the olive oil, it can be a bit difficult to eat too much of it as well. It's just a finishing oil, that. But you're probably as well to use just normal olive oil here. So I'm going to use the olive oil in together, just a nice slow drizzle into it. And what you're going to have is a nice thick mayonnaise. And it's really that simple. Now, what I'm going to do now is just take that mayonnaise, pop this over out of the way. It kind of takes a lot of the mystery out of this as well. You can have a little taste of it there, but I'm going to then just transfer that into a bowl and make a very simple derivative. You'll find that it's quite thick as well. And you probably could have even added a little bit more oil in that, it depends on the eggs. But there's a very, very powerful emulsifier in both the eggs and the mustard. And when making in a liquidizer, when you're making it by hand, there's a bit of a risk of it separating, but the risk is quite low in a liquidizer due to the high speed. So that's my mayonnaise, nice and freshly made. Just take this out of the way. And into that, I'm just going to very, very simply place a nice generous squeeze of lemon juice. That will thin it down a little bit. Just half a lemon. Mix that around. Now I've got a little selection of nice garden herbs. As you can see, the lemon juice takes into the mayonnaise very easily. As you can see, it's a nice thick pouring kind of consistency. Very easy to do. Now a little garden herbs, kind of the Mediterranean style herbs. A little bit of parsley, a bit of marjoram, a little bit of oregano. Doesn't really matter, some chives, whatever you have handy. And I could have put them in with the liquidizer, but I like to have a little bit of texture. But you could liquidize these as well with the mayonnaise, but then you'd be blending them down a lot. And I'm going to just very simply chop these herbs. Just nice and finely chop them. And then I'm just going to mix them through my mayonnaise. Very, very simple. And that's a nice lemon herb mayonnaise. Could have used a pinch of garlic in that, but again, making derivative sauces of mayonnaise is very, very simple. So, there's my herbs. Give my little work area a little tidy up having chopped those. So now all I have to do is just mix that around. And that's a nice simple olive oil based lemon herb mayonnaise, which you could use for anything at all really. Just going to add a little taste of my seasoning. I don't think it means anything. You could add a little bit more lemon if you wanted. And now I'm just going to transfer that into a little bowl. And again, at least, but I would re-emphasize, it is still a mayonnaise. So you don't want to be going mad at it and suddenly thinking, oh, it's healthy mayonnaise and I can just eat as much as I want. It's quite a heavy calorie punch in this, but it's, as opposed to using a seed oil and using an olive oil, so at least we're not going to be dealing quite so much with those inflammatory issues. I've, just a little while ago, just cooked off a few of these little prawns. And all I'm going to do is, now what I've done is I took the vein out of them and poached them in a little water. Very, very simple. Just to give an example, there's something we could do with these guys. I'm just going to just throw them randomly around any old way. Just something to use as a little dip. Maybe a little bit of lemon. And that is all it takes to make a mayonnaise. And if you really want a mayonnaise, I would strongly say that this is the way to go, is make your nice little fresh mayonnaise. Now, some people say store your mayonnaise, it'll last a week and things in the fridge. I don't. You're using raw egg here. I would suggest you work at cold temperatures, you make your egg, you keep it refrigerated at all times, and you consume it quite quickly, within a number of hours even. It's very quick to make, just make what you need. Don't, it's not a complicated thing. There is always going to be a bit of a risk when you're dealing with raw egg. That risk becomes multiplied if you leave it till the next day and the next day and so on. So you're better off just make your mayonnaise, eat it, keep it cold. It's important this is kept in at refrigerated temperatures in around 5 degrees or less. And don't leave it out in the sun and think everything is going to be fine. It is a fresh egg product. But having said that, it's a very tasty fresh egg product, and it's and that's your classic mayonnaise. So I hope it's a handy little recipe for yourselves.